but goodness me, we've got to start the show with a game that is just finished. Incredible stuff here. Frank and Stevie alongside me, watching it all unfold. You think 0-0 penalties, you think, ugh, but it just had so many different narratives throughout the game, most of them around Cristiano Ronaldo, who started the game and finished it as well. 0-0 as we go into extra time. Portugal awarded a controversial penalty. We would see then Cristiano Ronaldo step up. Oblak would make the save. This was just before half-time in extra time. Cristiano Ronaldo bursts into tears. That will be the focus, I imagine, of what you'll see on most newspapers tomorrow. In the end, though, Pepe with a mistake. Big chance for Slovenia to get the equaliser. But it's Diego Costa who proved to be the hero, not only in making that big save, but in the penalty shootout as well. He would save every single Slovenian penalty. Portugal would score every single one of theirs. And of course, it was Cristiano Ronaldo who came back to score the opening penalty. Portugal through to face France in the next round. Slovenia out. I think that covers most of it. Welcome then to Gab Marcotti as well. We're here from Gab in a moment. Steve, what a game. What an extra time.
It was absolutely incredible. And the amount of pressure that the Portuguese put Slovenia under was absolutely immense. However, they at no stage looked as though they were going to break them down. You know, myself in particular, I'm always complaining about today's game, the art of defending has gone. Well, I tell you what, if you want to see a team that knows how to defend, that's what Slovenia did today. Because with the amount of pressure they were under, they never panicked. Defensively, they all picked up good positions. They made great decisions when they did make the challenges. And Portugal never looked like scoring. They got the penalty, which they shouldn't have gotten. And even then, they still couldn't score. So, what a defensive display. Just pure heart and soul. And I must admit, and I must add, the two best chances in the game fell to Slovenia.
Yep.
Sesko was through twice.
Yes.
1-on-1. So not only did the keeper save 3 penalties, he came up with 2 huge saves.
As much as we'd love to spend this show saluting Slovenia's defensive prowess, there's one man that everyone is talking about at the end, and that is, of course, Cristiano Ronaldo. It was quite extraordinary to see him at that half-time, just absolutely inconsolable.
Yeah, I understand that he feels that everything fell apart, but at the same time, you have to think about your teammates. The game is not over. You're not losing. You're going to still fight, and at the end of the day, they got qualified. First, I think they didn't deserve the penalty. For me, it wasn't a penalty. The penalty shootout wasn't very good. It was on what I call the gloves area. And Oblak is a terrible, fantastic goalkeeper, so he saved it. But don't cry in front of your teammates. I mean, keep it for maybe the end of the game if you lose, but don't do it that. I understand the emotion going through your mind when you miss a penalty, and I did miss a penalty. It happened to me, but not maybe on that level. Even if it was a Champions League, but you don't react like that because your friends are upset against you because you missed it, and they don't want to see that because you're going to put everybody's temper in the wrong direction. And you are the captain, you are the skipper.
But still, having said all that, it takes a lot to then step up and take a penalty in the penalty shootouts, and you've got to salute him for that.
Oh yeah. It takes a lot to go for it, and there is a real technique, and the Slovenian proved that they don't have the right technique. Even if Diego Costa was the saver, they put every shootout on the gloves area, meaning 1 yard high, too high. It's either on the floor, it's on the top corner, but never on the gloves area. That's stupid. That's insane. And at that level, it's for me a big mistake, and they've been punished for that. Well done, Diego Costa. Yeah, it's true. You have to have some guts to go for it, and Ronaldo to go twice.
Yes,
it's hard, especially after missing one. But I think he wanted to prove to himself and to the whole population of Portugal that he was there, and it was one mistake, couldn't be 2.
And of course, Slovenia missed their opening penalty, which maybe gave him a little bit.
Oh yeah,
it took the pressure off a little. Gab, this was the Cristiano Ronaldo show right from the start. Every free kick, every chance, every focus was on him throughout. And then it just takes it to that next level in extra time.
Yeah, and look, I'll say this about him. Roberto's been, I'm sorry, criticized for playing him. Gonzalo Ramos. He could do more. He presses, whatever. But the reality is, Cristiano wants the responsibility. He doesn't shirk from it. He tries to take the responsibility. And when he makes a mistake, when he has that emotional moment, and by the way, we can all get cynical about football, but this guy first played in the Euros back in 2004. Some of these players weren't even born yet. And, for him to go to screw up and then to redeem himself like that and to show this humanity of crying when you think he's been in situations like this before, I thought that was incredibly moving.
What did you make of the tears, Stevie?
Not for me. I can't echo what Frank said enough. Ronaldo, as a football player, is not just a football player to Portugal and the Portuguese team. He's way beyond up there. So how do you think that affects the team when the guy who's way up there looks as though he's mentally collapsed? Now, we all understand that the type of character and the way he is mentally, he can pull himself together the way he did in a short space of time and sort of pushed it aside. But we don't know what the rest of the team are like. And so to do that was putting his team in a... Not only did he put his team in a bad situation missing a penalty, but he's now put them in a mental state as well. Because all they're thinking about is this guy recovered yet?
Right.
So the game's kicked off, and I'm sure some of the players are still thinking, is he okay? Is it all right just to keep... So I don't get it. And there's one thing to take responsibility, and that's fantastic. That's what you want in any player. But when you've got a guy like Gomez on the bench, and you've got a 39-year-old centre forward, and we're in the 100 and whatever minute, are you telling me that that's the right thing to do, is to keep him on? I don't think so. I really don't think so. One of the big...
to be the right thing, though, didn't he? Because he scored one of the penalties.
Well, he got one of the penalties. But a penalty shootout could have gone the other way. At the same time, if you'd rather beat Slovenia. Obviously, you'd rather beat them in 90 minutes. But when it comes to extra time, you go, OK, fresh legs. Now, who's going to have fresh legs, Gomez or Ronaldo at 39? So let's win the game before we go to penalties. You don't want to keep... Are you telling me you want to keep Ronaldo on the field in case you go to penalties? That's wrong to me.
When he says, when we talk about taking responsibility, you have to take responsibility as well for failure. Because when you miss it, it's when you have to take responsibility for the failure. I mean, you went for it, and you know before that there is a possibility that you're going to miss it. And so accept it when you miss it. You know what? For me, the moment of the game is when Pep missed, fell, or Pepe, and Diogo Costa saved him. I felt during the run of Sesko going towards the goalkeeper, I said, no, please no for his career, no to remember him for that failure. And I'm so pleased that Diogo Costa saved Pepe, because it would have been terrible for the end of his career.
How do you think Roberto Martinez has dealt with Cristiano Ronaldo within this game, Gab?
Look, I think you have to have a sense of history, a sense of occasion. I agree with Frank as far as Pep was concerned. Let's not forget, this is a guy who's 2 years older than Cristiano. And while Cristiano, especially at that stage of the game, let's face it, he's going to float around the penalty box. All the action is in Portugal's final third. It's nowhere near as physically taxing as what it could be for Pep if there is a counterattack and he has to get on his bike. And yet he kept them out there. And obviously there was that mistake from Sesko, that tremendous save from Diogo Costa. Look, I think Roberto's kind of done things his own way. We saw him play that weird formation in the first game. He's kept things a little more level. He's made his choices. And I think he's going to sink or swim by this. And, I take on board the importance of the team and winning the tournament and whatever else. But Cristiano Ronaldo, Lionel Messi, these guys, they're not normal footballers. And I think you have to have a certain appreciation for that. And also, with all due respect, it's Gonzalo Ramos on the bench, right? Not Kevin Keegan and Gerd Muller and Van Basten rolled into one. So I can live with it. In terms of leaving him out there, once he missed the penalty, I think the narrative had to be simple. Go out and redeem yourself. And at that point, I was pretty sure he wasn't going to go out.
Help or hindrance?
I would suggest if they keep trying to play the way they did in this game for the rest of the tournament, then it's going to be a hindrance. Because he was the only player in the penalty box for the majority of this game.
True.
And there was a lot of balls whipped in from wide areas. And the Ronaldo we know is about as good in the air as anybody that's ever played the game, just on that one thing alone. And he got nowhere near any of the balls. And it wasn't like the balls were horrible. Some of the crosses were in good positions, at a great height, but he never got near any of them. The two centre-backs in particular completely dominated him in the aerial duels. And just to confound the problem that they have with Ronaldo, the way he's set up, nobody gets in the box from the middle of the park. Leao is way out wide on the left. You've got Bernardo Silva way out wide on the right. You've got Cancelo on the right as well, whipping balls in. The two of them are whipping balls in. And nobody's getting in the box from the middle of the park to help Ronaldo. So he's isolated. So if you're going to isolate Ronaldo, yes, I understand Ronaldo's special and he's different, but he's 39 years of age. And he doesn't have that first step to get away from anybody, even in the penalty box. And he probably, at 39, doesn't have the spring that he used to have. So if they're going to continue to play the way or try and play the way they looked like they were doing today, he's going to be isolated. And he can't be isolated.
Because it's not only because he's 39, it's because if you're a centre-backs and you have only one problem to sort out and you are two, like it's going to happen to Saliba and Upamecano in the quarter-final, it's easy. It can be Ronaldo or anybody else. Even if Ronaldo is a magnet, if he feels the games and everything, and he's an extraordinary player, and he can do something special, even if he's 39, it's going to be a problem for him to find a solution between two international very top players. And if he hasn't got the help of the others by a run of somebody who can distract the centre-backs, it's going to be a problem for them, and especially for Ronaldo. So it's not going to be possible for him to find a way to free himself.
Explain to me the dynamics of free kick taking and the decision as to who takes them. Obviously, the stat did the rounds, 34 free kicks Ronaldo has taken in European Championships. He hasn't scored any of them.
Yeah.
If it's someone like Zinedine Zidane for France and you can, it's just not working. Is there a conversation? Are there leaders on the pitch that have the authority to say no? There is
a hierarchy in that matter. On penalties, the coach will talk before the game, say the first, the second, the third, depending on if somebody is injured or substituted. But on free kicks, no. It's just the feeling of player, whether it's going to be on the left side, on the right side. But in that matter, it can be anywhere. It's going to be Ronaldo.
Right.
When you know that you have...
And there's no Bruno Fernandes, there's no Bernardo Silva saying...
Well, they can ask. They can ask the captain, say, do you mind? And
I see.
They don't even ask. They
Right.
know that Ronaldo is going to take everything.
Gab brought up the word responsible.
Right.
It's irresponsible of Ronaldo to keep time after time after time sticking it over the bar, hitting it against the wall. He has to take responsibility on himself that somebody else should have a go or somebody else should be taking it. That word responsible has a whole lot of different meanings behind it, and that's one, and it's a big one, because he should know as well as anybody else he hasn't scored a free kick, as you said, in 34. So when you look around the squad and the team and the names that you mentioned standing next to him, you have to be responsible enough and able enough to put your ego aside and say, OK, I need to step aside here.
So, after all this Ronaldo discussion, it's obviously going to be Portugal against France in the next round.
Yeah.
No, isn't it?
From a France perspective, do you want Ronaldo to start?
I would say yes, because of the way they play, because of Ronaldo playing.
Really?
That's because, as I said, he's a magnet. So the players are influenced by the fact he's on the field. So they're going to go, and I talked about that before the game, they would have maybe more options, less talent maybe, but more options if Ronaldo wasn't playing. But because he's playing, they have to give him the ball. If he makes a run, and you can see the way he behaves when he doesn't receive the ball. He talks to the guy, so why didn't give me the ball? So for France, you have to take care of him because you know that at some point the players are going to look for him because of the magnet's kind of way of thinking from the player. Those players, they play with somebody who's already a legend and who they know they cannot cope with him. So they have to give allegiance to him because that's what it is. And it's not Ronaldo's fault. It's just human behavior towards somebody who would deserve the best of the best.
But if you're a Saliba, Upamecano, you'll be going, I hope Ronaldo plays.
I would say you have to, saying that, and if I say that so nicely, well, I say, oh yes, he has to play because it's better for Saliba. Some people will think that I think that Ronaldo is bad. No, it's just
I'm
because...
not asking the question to stir trouble.
Because again, yes, Saliba and Upamecano will say, okay, we know that in our area, nobody's going to come around because nobody wants to distract Ronaldo possibilities to get the ball.
I see.
So it's why it's better for them to see Ronaldo on the field.
Absolutely.
You'd want Ronaldo starting as well if you're French?
Absolutely, yeah. Well, if I'm Deschamps, I'm going, you know what, we can, if we want to, which they probably won't, but they can decide how the way this game goes. Because they can say, you know what, we're going to press up high. Because Ronaldo's not running away from Upamecano or Saliba. So there you go. And if they sit deep and give Portugal the ball, they've just watched today that they can take care of. If the two centre backs from Slovenia can take care of Ronaldo today, I think Saliba and Upamecano are more than capable of doing the same.
Again, it's going to be tactically very interesting to see because Portugal didn't like to get the ball, so they're going to get the ball, and France love that because they can play in counter-attack. So it's a perfect game for them if Portugal play high on the field, leaves Ronaldo alone in a 16-yard box, let's say, and they're going to work on counter-attack, and we saw that in one action. Mbappe against Pep, running, that's going to be tricky for Pep.
What's happened to Pepe?
Well, he's 41.
Well, he's 41.
Why are we calling him Pep?
Oh, because it's because there is no we put something on top of the E and didn't see it. So
it's a French thing.
Gav, last word on all of this to you.
You guys are being a little bit negative here. I mean, Stevie, when you talked about, well, if France press high, when have you seen Deschamps' France ever press high?
Yeah.
You know what's going to happen. I mean, Frank laid it out for you. They're going to sit deep. They're going to leave the ball. They're going to try to hit on the counter because that's how he rolls. He's safety first. And in those conditions, I agree with you. You can't, if you're Portugal, you can't focus everything on Cristiano. But this is where you expect veterans, very good players like Bruno Fernandes, like Bernardo Silva, even Leao, if he gets going and he runs at people. Take advantage of the fact that Cristiano's there. Take advantage of the opportunities that it gives you, not necessarily to cross the ball for him, but to take advantage of mismatches of situations that can arise. And that's down to Roberto Martinez. And I think that's where he can improve Portugal further, and where probably he needs to improve Portugal if they are to have a chance to knock out France.